Good afternoon. The League of Women Voters of the Grafton-Shrewsbury area welcomes you to the 2026 Candidates Forum. The League sponsors these events so the voters of Shrewsbury can make informed and thoughtful decisions when they vote in the town election on Tuesday, May 5th. We have two candidate forums scheduled for this afternoon, Select Board and School Committee. The forum is being broadcast live on Sunday, April 26th at 4 p.m. on channels 28 and 328, and will be replayed throughout the week. It is also available on YouTube under Shrewsbury Media Connection. I want to ask you at this point to turn off your cell phones. Next, I would like to introduce our moderator, Sue Flycop. The League seeks to have impartial moderators and usually has a moderator from out of town. Sue has been an active League member for over 10 years. She is currently a member of the Wayland League and focuses on voter education by organizing and moderating candidates' forums in the Massachusetts communities. Okay.
Thank you, Colleen. Just a word about the League. The League of Women Voters promotes political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League is nonpartisan in that it does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. It is political in that it takes positions on selected governmental issues after member study and agreement. So as Colleen said, my name is Sue Flycop, and I would first, starting this forum for Select Board, I'm first going to introduce the candidates and then talk to you about some of the rules for the forum. I want to thank all the people who are here, of course our candidates for putting themselves forward, and to our audience that are watching on TV. If you have questions, there are cards outside. There's, I believe it's blue for Select Board and yellow for School Committee, so please feel free to write down your questions. We're going to be doing mostly audience questions today, and just if you can hand it to one of the people out there. We review them. All the questions need to be applicable to all three candidates. We don't target questions to certain people, and they will all have the same amount of time to answer these questions. So we have three candidates for Select Board for 2 open seats. The Select Board members will serve a 3-year term. Candidates for the Select Board are Beth Casavant, Carlos Garcia, and Anand Sharma. The Select Board forum will be about an hour long. We'll aim to end at 5. And each candidate will start by making a 3-minute opening statement. Those will be done in alphabetical order, and then we'll rotate who goes first. The first 2 questions will be from the League, one that the candidates have already been aware of, and then one that they're not aware of. And then we'll get to your audience questions, as many as we can get through by 5 o'clock. And then the candidates will make a 1-minute closing statement. So for the questions, the candidates will have 1.5 minutes each to answer. There are really no rebuttals unless there's something odd happens and we decide that a rebuttal is necessary. And Kathleen, our timer here, is seated. You'll be seeing her hold up signs to let the candidates know how much time is left. When you see the red one, it means to stop. You don't need to stop mid-sentence. You can finish your thought. But please stop at that point and go on. We are on a tight schedule to get to as many questions as possible, so we really are relying on you to help, although I will interrupt you if necessary. So the first question, as I said, was already presented to the candidates from the League. And let's see. Please be sure if you have your questions. And our goal today is to have a fair, respectful, informative, and inclusive forum. So please, no personal attacks from candidates or the audience will be permitted. And please, no audience campaigning. And this means please don't clap for the candidates after they've made their statement. At the end of the forum, I will ask you to clap for all of them. But we want to, again, try and minimize the time in between questions. Okay, so we're going to start with opening statements, 3 minutes each. We'll go in alphabetical order. So Beth, it's 3 minutes to you.
Wonderful, thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this forum and Shrewsbury Media Connection for making it easy for people to watch from home. I'm Beth Cassavant, and I'm running for re-election to the Select Board, building on our strengths, addressing our challenges, while keeping Shrewsbury safe, affordable, and welcoming for all. Being a candidate means spending a lot of time talking about yourself and your accomplishments. But on a 5-member board, no one wins alone. Every accomplishment is the result of collective discussion, thoughtful debate, and collaboration among all members. Successes are shared, reflecting the combined efforts and commitment to serving the community rather than any single person's agenda. Working together ensures that decisions benefit you, the residents of Shrewsbury, and improve the quality of life that you experience each day. Effective local government starts with residents and supports people of all ages by providing them with what they need to live healthy, productive lives in a community that they love. I have centered my work on maintaining vibrant neighborhoods, advancing sustainability initiatives, ensuring the quality of our schools and municipal services, and addressing community needs. Like so many of you, I chose Shrewsbury as my daughters were about to enter school. My husband and I considered several communities, but Shrewsbury stood out because of the strong school system, extensive municipal services, and a tax bill that was affordable when compared with surrounding towns. Since first being elected to the Select Board, I have focused on the things that matter most: communication with residents, public safety, education, recreational opportunities, clean water, and sustainability. I am working on fulfilling the promises of our 2030 strategic plan, ensuring that we are directly addressing the needs and priorities of our community. By collaborating closely with my fellow Select Board members as well as other boards and committees, I have been able to deliver meaningful results that align with our shared vision. This collective approach underscores the importance of teamwork and strategic decision-making in serving the residents. I have a deep respect for the taxpayers and have focused on long-term financial planning to extend the duration of the 2021 override beyond the original 4-year commitment. My goal is to avoid additional tax increases while maintaining sufficient funding for public safety, education, and municipal services. We do have our challenges. Being a great community means that people want to live here, but the pace of development is viewed by some as too rapid. It's important to find a balance so that development respects our current neighborhoods, does not overburden our schools and infrastructure, and reflects community preferences. This moment requires strong, steady leadership to stand up for what we value and maintain our momentum as a forward-thinking, fiscally responsible community. I am very proud of what we have accomplished together, and I am excited to keep working on your behalf to keep Shrewsbury safe, welcoming, and affordable for all.
Thank you. And Carlos Garcia, 3 minutes to you.
Thank you. I first want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidates forum and to SMC for recording this conversation. I want to thank all of you for coming out this afternoon to listen to each of us. And I want to thank each of the candidates running for being here today to share our different visions for the community. Our community needs experienced leaders that will stand firm in turbulent times to move us through the challenges ahead. The decisions made at Town Hall should uplift everyone it serves, and Shrewsbury deserves a compassionate leader who understands how local decisions can directly impact you. Shrewsbury is owed a leader who will stand up to help foster the thriving community we all want to live and do business in. I'm Carlos Garcia, and I'm running for re-election to continue being that leader for you. My mother and I moved to Shrewsbury when I was 5 years old on a Section 8 housing voucher because she knew that moving me here would lead to better opportunities than she had growing up. I was raised in a home where I learned the value of giving back. My mother is a daycare teacher. My father is a custodian at a local high school. My grandfather was a mentor to young people at the Boys and Girls Club for over 30 years. My passion for public service is what led me to run for town meeting at the age of 21, to pursue a psychology degree at Assumption College, and to eventually be employed at the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. As a proud Shrewsbury High School graduate and the only member of the Select Board and candidate in this race who grew up in town, I am motivated every day to give back to the community that shaped me. Having served as a town meeting member, as a finance committee member, and on the Select Board, I have developed a skill set and demonstrated my ability to tackle the tough issues that we face as a community. During my first term, I have rolled up my sleeves to lead initiatives to help uplift our community members. I helped Shrewsbury become a dementia-friendly community to support our seniors. I developed a private road maintenance bylaw to enhance public safety. I helped the town tackle food insecurity by bridging partnerships and expanding food access. I'm running for re-election because I understand that no one gets to where they are alone. and local government can play a positive role in enhancing our lives. As the first in my family to graduate from high school, I experienced firsthand the benefits of a strong school system. As someone who grew up in a low-income household, I understand how local decisions can impact families like mine. As a young person, I understand how important it is to live in a community that is safe and that offers opportunities to get ahead. We have challenging times ahead, and we need calm, experienced, and thoughtful leader who is committed to standing up for a welcoming and vibrant community, a more transparent and accessible local government, our public schools, and a more sustainable community. I look forward to the rest of this conversation, and I respectfully ask for one of your votes on Tuesday, May 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Anand Sharma, 3 minutes to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you, Women of League and SMC Media for recording. My name is Anand Sharma. I'm a resident of the Shrewsbury over 25 years. When I moved this town gave me a lot of starting things like which I need as a resident. My two kids go to the school system. We have a very good school system in the town. At the same time, this school system also help to like other member also they can simultaneously grow. I am an engineer. My background is also MBA. I work for MIT Lincoln in Lincoln Lab, where I do day-to-day financial analysis, and those analysis based on we make the better decision for this country and local also. Simultaneously, I'm also a small business owner. Day-to-day I deal with all kind of issues. The town also facing some right now. I also deal with that regularly. And those skill set I have developed with my work at MIT and with my small business owner entrepreneurship. And that way, why I'm running for Shrewsbury Select Board, town is like right now the critical movement. So many overdevelopment happening in the town, so many places. Because of that, our roads and traffic, those are very congested. Because of that, every day, lot of residents facing the issues. I have already addressed so many issues in the town. They are not being taken care of. Why? Because of the lack of the leadership or vision we don't have. We are day-to-day facing. And I want to continue work as a volunteer. I have experience. I know how to run the business. I know I can read the financial sheet. I can analyze the data, and I have the capability to make the right decision. And I'm looking for Shrewsbury voters to look at, give me a chance, and we have a better candidate for that position. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to jump into our first question. I just want to remind the audience, if you want to submit a question, please, just around the corner, there are a couple of volunteers waiting for them. All right, we're going to start. Carlos, you're going to go first on this question, and this is the one that the league sent you in advance. With all the issues facing our town, what will be your top 3 areas of focus? And that's 1.5 minutes to you.
Thank you. Affordability, development, and how we can support our schools will be my top focus areas. On affordability, we know that things are challenging and that residents are being squeezed from all angles. We need to continue expanding the commercial tax base to alleviate pressure from our residents, and we need to do this proactively, which is why I am advocating that the town hire an economic development coordinator to attract and retain the businesses that we want to see in our community. I'm thrilled that town meeting will soon be voting on a select board supported proposal to expand existing tax relief opportunities for our seniors, our veterans, and those with disabilities. Additionally, as the board's designee to the Affordable Housing Trust, I'm proud to be leading on initiatives to support our community via rental assistance and home repair programs. On development, we know that the pace of growth has been rapid. I'm actively working on a tree preservation bylaw so that developers have a role to play in preserving as much green space as possible. Additionally, I'm advocating that the board develop a strategy to maintain safe harbor status under Chapter 40B so that we retain local control as a community. We are currently in the early stages of updating our master plan, and I look forward to seeing what zoning changes may come from that. Lastly, on supporting our schools, I think we need to ensure that we maintain a strong and collaborative relationship with our school committee. They have new incoming leadership soon, and so I think it's really important that we continue to provide information, share information, and collaborate in the years ahead, because we know that we have challenging times coming with the high school and with an override question in the next few years.
Thank you. Anand, the same question to you, 1.5 minutes.
So I have 3 main focus points. First is the financial management. Second is the infrastructure. and third is the school system. The financial management, people don't, I can tell you here, the Shrewsbury has the two groups, two bracket of the earning. One is making the less than 45% of the Shrewsbury resident making the less than 100K, and above that is making the 200K. So it's a wide range of the bracket. Any kind of change in the tax or any kind of change in the their tax is going to affect their everyday life. The second is the market disruption of the AI. The upper bracket might affect from the AI changes, and town could have the issues with the getting that proper tax income back. The third is the I can say commercial. Commercial is very important point of view because most of the burden is coming on the resident. Ratio is the 10 to 1, and that is affecting our residents with the burden of the tax. The second is the infrastructure. Our roads, water, sewer, all are under strain because of the overdevelopment happening in the town. Basically, that's the unplanned development, and that is creating the problem for all of us. Our roads, our water, sewer, everywhere you can see so many water breaks in nowadays in the last couple of months because that putting the extra stress on the resources, on the money which we have on the taxpayers. Third, very important, the school system. I want to work with the school for kids' well-being with the partner and the parent.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. We're going to continue this
Thank you.
conversation. And Beth, the question to you, a minute and a half.
So I've knocked on over 1,700 doors during the course of this campaign, and something that the residents are asking for is work on road conditions. The town has specifically relied on Chapter 90 dollars from the state to address road conditions, and with the rising cost of materials, that is no longer enough. I support the manager's recommendation to dedicate an additional $500,000 from free cash to this year's roadway improvement budget. I've also asked for a plan to address roadway infrastructure long-term so that we can communicate with residents what it is we need to do to improve the roads and what that is going to look like. Managing growth against residents' expectations around growth is always a balancing act. Despite the need for diverse housing options at different price points, it's frustrating when commercially zoned parcels are used for multifamily housing under Chapter 40B. The way to reduce the burden on residential taxpayers is through commercial growth, so losing these parcels to apartments is frustrating. The town has finally met its 10% affordable housing requirement under Chapter 40B, giving us back control over our local zoning. The challenge will be to maintain our safe harbor status by seeking development that reflects what our community wants to see, truly affordable housing. And lastly, balancing capital needs like the DPW and high school expansion with the eventual need for an override to maintain school and municipal services is a major issue. Making short-term repairs to prolong the life of aging facilities strains the operating budget and is not the best use of taxpayer dollars.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to our second question, which you didn't get in advance. And Anand, we're going to start with you first. So this will be a minute and a half to you. How will you handle contentious public meetings or strong opposition to a proposed policy?
So there could be possibility when you are making the law or changing anything in the existing, there is always opposition is there. But there always also is a middle way where you can talk to both sides and come up with the right plan, the idea or perspective where we can have meet our goal. So it happen always, not like here in the town, but all other places at work also. We have to deal with that. And for that, we have to understand what is their requirement, what is the issue, how that issue is going to affect us, and how we can deal with that. So this procedure, if we can choose this way, we can help each other to meet our common goal.
Thank you. Okay, Beth, the question to you next.
Could you just repeat it one more time, please?
Sure. How will you handle contentious public meetings or strong opposition to a proposed policy?
Thank you. So it's impossible to serve in this role and not come up against a situation that is contentious. It happens. It happens more frequently than one would expect. And I think the way to go about it is to always make sure that you're really checking in with the stakeholders and communicating clearly about what the issue is and what are the the pros, what are the cons, and is there some way that we can compromise and meet in the middle? And I also think when you sit in the seat, you have to be taking into account the entire community, and you can't just be swayed by the loudest voices or what's happening on social media. You have to sort of center yourself around what are these guiding principles that we've set out in our 2030 strategic plan. What can we do that's in the best interest of the community? And you have to be comfortable knowing that there are going to be people who do not agree with the decision that you make, regardless of what the decision is, because the only person you usually agree with most of the time is yourself. You have to make the hard decisions. You have to be comfortable making hard decisions, and you have to understand that usually the loudest voices are the ones who are most opposed to something. But that means you need to double down on seeking out the more softer voices to make sure that everybody is being heard and everybody feels like they had the opportunity to participate in the decision-making process, even if the outcome isn't exactly what they might want to see.
Thank you. And Carlos, a minute and a half to you.
Thank you. I think it all begins with respect. Respecting one another's opinions, respecting each other's thoughts. We all come at life with different life experiences and with different goals and journeys. And so I think always making sure that we are respecting one another is of the utmost importance. And that's something that I have always tried to do and have led on in this capacity, because I think it's really important that we sit down with one another, even when we disagree, and learn from that experience. Learn from each other about why it is that maybe I'm coming at a certain issue with a certain perspective, and why does the person in front of me come at it from a different perspective. I think seeing the humanity in all people is something that all leaders in any elected office should be doing, because at the end of the day, we are here to serve the community. And as a local government, we're here to solve problems. We're here to address concerns. And it's really important that, again, respect is what we are going to be leading on. And we also need to remind ourselves of the bigger picture. We serve in these roles not to serve our own egos, not to serve any one particular agenda, but to serve the entire community at large. And so again, I really think it's really important for us to go out into the community, have conversations, and be always available to have dialogue, open dialogue with any resident who has a concern and any resident who has a question. And that's why I think it's really great that the Select Board has office hours that we regularly host for folks to come in a comfortable setting to talk to us.
Okay, thank you. We're ready for our audience questions. Thank you. Wow, nice pile. Good job. Okay, Beth, we're going to start with you first. This next question is, all right, it's long, so you'll still have a minute and a half. Many of us have noticed that our roads are in poor condition, with potholes becoming increasingly prevalent, and it seems to have gotten worse this year. This issue has been highlighted in some of your campaign themes. In fact, several of you have mentioned it. How do you propose addressing the state of the roads? Would you support a tax increase, or do you believe the funds should come from the existing budget? If you lean towards the latter, so the funds coming from the existing budget, where would you suggest making cuts to other services to reallocate the necessary funds?
Okay, so as I said earlier, right, roads are on everybody's mind. The snow melted, and all of a sudden, it just seemed there were potholes on every surface throughout the community. It's a huge issue. In the March 10th Select Board meeting, we had a presentation from the town engineer. He came in and he told us about the condition of the roads and the fact that our Chapter 90 dollars, which are around $2 million right now, they come from the state, it just isn't enough to keep up with the road conditions. And I think that over time, relying on Chapter 90 money rather than anything from our tax, like our own taxes, has kind of led to this underinvestment in the roads. So what we need is a plan. So we have this stopgap measure right now of $500,000 additional funding that's coming from free cash. Free cash is what is turned back from departments at the end of a fiscal year, what they don't use in their budget, because no one budgets exactly to the penny and spends exactly to the penny. So that money isn't going to impact anybody's tax bill. It's money that town meeting can use for something like this, for something that really needs to be taken care of immediately. So that's the first step. The second step is getting from the town engineer what is the overall assessment of road conditions in town? Every road will get a rating, a score. And what do we do so that we can keep the roads from further deteriorating? It is far more cost effective to preserve a road than it is to have to completely replace it. And so those are the things that we need to come up with and try to do that in a way that we are not overburdening the taxpayer.
Thank you. And Anand, the question to you, a minute and a half.
So if you see like from the last decade, all the roads are neglected. No one taken care of the proper way. We don't have any plan until I raised that concern, putting the video in the social media, letting people know that what is the condition of the roads in the town. I addressed so many roads. I still have so many video residents and them, and they ask me, why don't you address my road? And this is the major issue. Why this happened? Because we don't have vision. We don't have plan for future, how to maintain the road. As a business owner, I understand when we have to do the proactive, preventive maintenance of the items whenever we need to deal with that. Our road condition index is very poor. It's 53%. If you go surrounding town, you can see it's like a fair. Fair means like they have around 70 or around that range. And the third question is how I'm going to deal with that with. So Chapter 90 is giving the sum of the money. I'm going to request all my legislators, senator and state rep, they can get more money because town is growing. We have a fair share. The second, I want to put some of the grants, and then third, maybe we can create the enterprise fund. That fund can also help us to gain some money. And the fourth important part is I have to do the new growth revenue allocation. So whenever the new commercial or anything is coming, we have to allocate some money for our future road maintenance and preventive maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you. And Carlos, a minute and a half to you.
Thank you. I certainly encourage folks to take the time to actually watch that March 10th Select Board meeting. I thought it was very eye-opening. The town engineer came in and presented us with a map, and we, quite honestly, we didn't need a map. We live in the town, so we understand that the road conditions are not great. But when he laid out that map, everything was in the red. And so I certainly look forward to attending town meeting and voting in favor of the capital budget, which will include that 500,000 additional funds so that we can start making some progress there over the summertime. And I am very grateful that we also, during that March 10th meeting, tasked the town engineer with developing a 5-year plan, a 5-year strategy to really make some headwinds on the road conditions because they are very, very poor. During this conversation, I also want to uplift the fact that last year I developed a private road maintenance bylaw to enhance public safety on our private roads. For a long time, those streets have been neglected and unable to be serviced by the town. And through my leadership, I've been able to enable the town to actually help maintain those roads and do minor repairs on those streets so that the residents of those communities can also be on a road that is safe and for public safety to also be able to pass them. I think that we need to do a better job at communicating out to the residents about what streets are coming up for work over the summertime every year. And I think having the town engineer put together that 5-year plan and, again, communicating out to the residents, communication is key.
Thank you. All right, our next question, Carlos, you're going to go first. Currently, the school committee has voted for a 4.53% budget increase for fiscal year 27. They recently reduced it from an initial budget of 4.75%. The select board has a current budget for municipal of 4% and the school department of 4.25%. Do you agree that the school department should be held to a 4.5% budget increase? Why or why not?
So we're certainly seeing the process play out as it should. The schools are advocating for the school department, and the select board is working to look at the full scope of services for the entire town. And I really look forward to continuing the conversation with the school committee to see where we can land somewhere in the middle. I think it's really important that we go back to the drawing board when the time comes for another override agreement so that we can be mindful of the challenges both on the municipal side and the school side so that our budgets can be more sustainable in the years to come. Because I think it's really important that our schools get the resources that they need to continue educating our young people. I'm the first in my family to graduate from high school, so I benefited greatly from our Shrewsbury Public School our school system, and I'm very proud of that. And so I think, again, having that open dialogue with our school committee, working closely with the superintendent and with the town manager to see where we can land somewhere in the middle to, again, be sustainable with our budgets is really important. And so I look forward to that continued conversation with the school committee.
Thank you. And Beth, the question to you, a minute and a half.
Okay, thank you. So there is a budget gap, and that is something that we haven't really seen in a while. The difference in the recommended budget by the school committee and the recommended budget by the town manager, or by the superintendent and the town manager, is less than $500,000. I think sometimes when we speak in percentages, it is easy to not really understand the dollar amount. So I do like to point out that prior to the 2021 override, budget gaps would reach into the millions, and they wouldn't ever find a way to close completely. As my colleague said, the budget process is slow, it is long, and what's happening at the state level to provide additional funding to towns doesn't sync up with the way that we do our budgeting. So the House released a budget that increased Chapter 70, which is state aid to schools, over what it was the previous year. And that doesn't necessarily line up with what is in the recommended budget from the manager. And it takes time for numbers to mature to a point where you can come up with the actual budget number that is going to be brought forth to town meeting. So I understand that the school committee approved a $94.4 million budget, but as a select board member, I have always supported funding the schools and investing in school buildings, and I always will. But I need to be mindful of the impact of the bottom line school department budget number because it grows by a minimum of 4.25% year over year per our override agreement. And any decision that is made over the FY27 budget will impact future budgets and dictate how soon an override question would need to be asked of the voters.
Thank you. Anand, the question to you, a minute and a half.
So I'm doing the campaign for last 2 years, and I noticed people, residents, they don't want to override. So the issue is now we also want to support the school system. They are doing great job. We can see the school, the kids are going all the world on doing the great education, but the budget, the way is continuously increasing, is very hard to manage. So we have to figure out what way we can fill that gap. This gap is always widening with the time to time. So if I give you the example of the one of the Sutton, they have like in the summertime they rent the town facilities for some purpose, like doing the maybe performance or something. That way they are raising around 75,000 money every year, 75,000 every year because of those things. We should also do some kind of like extra earning for the school, like renting the place. Maybe we can use in the evening classes. The St. John School also provides the classes in the evening and earning the money that way. So some resources we can give them as a rent and get some money. There is always gap, but we have to understand where that money is coming from. And that money we have to use wisely and distribute accordingly with all the department like admin and school also. And the school is our high priority because that's the foundation of a town. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question, Beth, you're going to go first on this one. Please provide your position on the renovation / expansion of Shrewsbury High School.
Okay, great, thank you. So I am proud to serve as the chair of the building committee for this renovation and expansion as we really seek what is the project going to look like. So I do think it's a little bit soon to say, yes, I 100% support or I 100% don't, because we're really in that fact-finding stage. And I was skeptical about moving forward because I do understand that there are competing capital projects. For example, the Department of Public Works still needs to be addressed. There are some needs here at the town hall, and there's also an override that we all know is going to be coming up within the next year or so to be able to fund school and municipal operations. So those things weigh heavily on me when I think about moving forward with a building project. But a school project has a really long runway, and so you have to start the process because you may not be asking the voters to approve it for several years into the future. And we have a really amazing opportunity because the Massachusetts School Building Authority has invited Shrewsbury into their program. And what that means is we wouldn't need to be going at this by ourselves. And the Mass School Building Authority would be helping with reimbursement of up to 50% of the cost of whatever we do on that school. And keeping in mind that the Shrewsbury High School is going to be about 30 years old, and that there are going to be repairs to roof, windows, and HVAC that are going to be extremely costly, I think it is a valuable exercise to go through this process with the MSBA, because it would be the best value to taxpayers if that is the course that voters decide to take when this project comes before them.
Thank you. And Anand, the question to you?
So we need the school, like I support the school system also. But the question right now, the committee is doing the work, deciding what kind of size and we need the school. On that basis, we can easily figure out what we have to do it. I have suggestion also, like we can do in some like phases, like whenever you come with a big amount of capital project, resident always rejected that. So we can come in the like phases, like, oh, this phase we will do this one, so they can accommodate it. Because most of the 45%, as I described before, they can't handle the changes in their tax bill. And that purpose, we have to come in phases, or that can help us to improve our school system, school capacity. This is the other current issue in the town we have. The other thing I want to let you know why this happened, the school, why the problem there in the school, because you can see it, we haven't, when we are building the unplanned apartment and building are coming, we never thought about the parallelly, we need school also, we need infrastructure also, and we missing that part. So we have to, in the future also, if I will be selected, I will be work on that. What we need in the future, what is the current pace and what we can take into the future pace. So those visualize, those the future planning, we need it. Or the same needed for the school also.
Thank you. And Carlos, a minute and a half to you.
So I'm the only candidate on this stage that has attended the high school. And I do want to uplift that because during my time, I experienced the overcrowding myself. And it wasn't just navigating hallways that was difficult. It affected my program. It affected which classes that I was able to take because there was not enough space. And so I, with that firsthand experience, have always supported the expansion of the high school and moving that project forward. And during my time on the board, I have consistently stood up to support that project moving forward. Because at the end of the day, I think it's really important that we get all the information that we need in order for the community to understand what the full size and scope of this project will be, because it will be the voters at the ballot box that will be making that decision. I think that the committee right now, obviously, they're doing their process and doing the fact finding and understanding what the full size and scope of this project is going to be. And I look forward to, once the time comes, to go out there in front of the community and advocate and talk about what this will cost the residents. And I do think it's really important that we take the opportunity now that we're in the MSBA process, the Massachusetts School Building Authority, that we take them up on their offer of supporting about a little over 50% of the project if it were to move forward. I would rather certainly the state pay for half of it than for us to pay the full amount. And so I will consistently stand up for the high school, and I'm proud to have done that during my time.
Thank you. So our next question, Anand, you're going to go first.
Yep.
I just wanted to remind the audience, please, if you're not going to turn your phones off, at least put it on silent. It can be very distracting as a candidate to be focused on your answer, to hear dinging and the ringtones and things like that. So please at least silence them. Okay, so Anand, you're first. The pay-as-you-throw bags price has increased and is increasing another 10% this year. How would you control the increasing cost of the solid waste program to the residents of Shrewsbury?
So, because solid waste program is very like when we need the environment to sustainable, we have to use that money or that procedure or help to sustain in the environment. So when you are increasing it, it's going to affect everyone. Whenever you have extra money, you put 10% you are increasing, and that going to affect our residents. But same time, this year our town also got some money from the federal and government, and that money could be used for reducing the burden on the taxpayer. And then other way, we can use some state money also when they are time to time awarding for for sustainable or environmental approach.
Thank you. And Carlos, the question to you.
I think it's really important that we uplift the fact that we, as a town, received a very large EPA grant recently. And so I think in order to help the cost of the pay-as-you-throw program, supporting other ways to reduce the amount of trash or amount of recycling that, the amount of trash that folks are throwing away is going to be important. So supporting a composting initiative to reduce the weight on the bags and to reduce the amount of trash that folks are throwing away is going to be critical. And I do think that it's important that I thank all of our town staff, especially Gosha Stolarska, who helped us get that EPA grant. And so I really look forward to rolling that out. It's certainly not something that we are keen to do, to raise bag prices, but we do know that the pay-as-you-throw program is supposed to cover about 50%. And so we're going to have to look at, what ways we can continue to support that program. And I think that's a conversation that the select board will continue to have and we'll be having very soon on that.
Thank you. And Beth, the question to you.
So I think in a lot of ways we're a victim of our own success. So the pay-as-you-throw program is half funded by the tax dollars that we collect, but it's also half funded by the blue bags that people purchase. And with a push toward more recycling by rolling out those recycling carts and allowing for households to compost through a program here at the town hall where people can bring their food scraps to the town hall and compost them, we have reduced the number of blue bags that people need to use. And so we need to sort of recalibrate this program that has worked so well for us for so many years and determine what the next steps are going to be. Maybe it's not possible to keep it 50-50. Maybe we need to rethink the balance. It's interesting that not every community offers solid waste pickup at the curb. But that's something that we are really proud to offer residents in the community, and it's something that residents expect from their tax dollars. So we definitely want to be able to keep offering the program, but we need to understand a way that it still is equitable for everyone. The other thing, too, around the grant that we received, that $2.7 million Swiffer grant from the EPA is actually going to be used to create a recycling center at the DPW at South Street. And so people are going to be having even more opportunities for recycling. So again, when you hear that 10% on the bag fee, remember that the dollar amount is actually in cents, because if you think about the cost of a roll of bags, it's $11.50 for a roll of large bags. And so the percent of increase isn't necessarily as much of a sticker shock as I think it might sound like at first.
Okay, thank you. Carlos, next question to you first. Development in town seems inevitable, and this is often at the cost of open land. What do you propose doing to help mitigate the loss of green space?
Thank you. I'm very happy to answer this question. Like I mentioned at the top, I'm working right now on a tree preservation bylaw so that developers have a role to play in mitigating the tree loss that we've seen in our community. As someone who grew up in town, I've seen that tree loss over time, and quite frankly, it's sad to see. And so it's still being worked on. It's still being developed. I'm really proud that I've worked alongside a Shrewsbury High School student who helped me with some policy research on the tree preservation bylaw, and I collaborated with residents as well to see what other components we can put in there to make sure that we're doing all that we can. And so, again, it's still in the early phases, but town meeting should hopefully be voting on that proposal at town meeting in the fall. And there's 3 ways that this tree preservation bylaw would mitigate the tree loss. The developers would either have to use the existing trees on their properties into their plans and incorporate that. If they are cutting down trees, mature trees, then they, based upon a certain ratio, would have to replant those trees. And those trees that they're replanting would have to be native, which is also very critical in order to continue supporting the green space and the biodiversity in our town. And if they're unable to do that, then they would pay the town a certain fee, and we would have to replant those trees somewhere else. I was inspired by Worcester's Miyawaki Forest initiative that they did a few years ago, and so I participated in that program and would like to see us also do that in our town as well.
Thank you. And Anand, the question to you.
So we lost our lot of green space because of that overdevelopment happening on last couple of years. Why this is happening? Some of them say like we need the affordable housing. That's happening, but I can see clearly here there are lack of planning and forecasting which we needed to avoid those situations. When other town like Grafton, Westboro, when they achieve their safe harbor within 70% of their own land development, and we are already use 85% of our land, and still our green space, we don't have that much green space. We have only 2,000 to 3,000 acre of land left for only for that is space we can develop it. And you can see UPS facility in the back side, other places also. Massive destruction of the like green space which we have in the town. That's the town character initially we could have. We have so many units like unused. We can renovate them. You can use them as a town like commercial or some other purpose, and we can save the green space. But we don't have that. We don't want to do that. We want to destroy and then build the things like that's the kind of habit people has. We should avoid that. When I came from the India, we developed similar fashion. Now we don't have resources. The water is not charging the ground, and we don't have the water resources. Same happening here. Why we have so many impurity in the water system? Because our water system is not charging properly, and we are fetching the water continuously, and that has a more impurity. So it's overall effect.
Thank you. Beth, the question to you.
So I share residents' concerns about the impact of development on our natural habitat. We know that the trees and the brush and the area that is disrupted when something is developed is displacing animals and insects and birds and all kinds of wildlife. At the same time, we can only focus on what's in our control. Much of the land in Shrewsbury is privately owned, and when someone owns a piece of land, they are able to develop it within zoning. So we have to focus on the things that we can really make an impact with, and I think that going forward, we have a master plan that is about to be refreshed, so there will be opportunities there to clarify our vision around open space. We also rely upon our strategic plan and the priorities laid out in the strategic plan around open space. We will also be updating our open space and recreation plan. All of these different plans rely on feedback from the community, but I already know from talking to residents that what they want to see is the town taking advantage of opportunities to leverage community preservation funds to be able to purchase open space when it becomes available. Some of you might remember that we did this a few years back with some land on Lake Street, and now that land will be preserved as open space in perpetuity and become part of our trails system. And I also would like to work with the Trails Committee to be able to identify those parcels that will help to connect the community so that the spaces that are open are spaces that everyone is able to enjoy.
Thank you. All right, we are at our last question right before closing statements. So we're almost there. Anand, you're going to go first with this question. What concrete actions will the Select Board take in order to improve transparency and communication?
So I can say we really have the communication. We don't have transparency. Most of the I can feel it like the selection, the appointing, the happening in the places is not fair. It should be more open. The resume or whatever person is coming, we should take the interview before hiring any person in any committee. Person has to display what kind of knowledge or gain he can have, and then they take the decision. More open, more fair. So this will give the opportunity for everyone to can be the part. Why people are not coming here too many to participate? Because we have a gap. Second thing, like whenever the voting is happening, only 15 to 20% people are coming for vote. We are not giving the enough message to people so they can understand this election. Their vote is very important for us. It's change our every utility. It's a child facial every utility, our infrastructure, our school, everything we are decided by the Select Board. They should understand, and then more. The third are very important. The election day, we have billboards somewhere, like on the downtown or maybe somewhere. Tell people like today's election day, go cast your vote. It's very important for your decision, important for your kids, important for your family, important for your town, important for community, and that way we can decide. So we need this kind of communication in the town. So a couple of billboard we can put around the corner every morning or evening per person coming or leaving the town. They know that today is election and we have to cast the vote. It's very important for community.
Thank you. And Beth, the question to you.
So, local government is meant to be accessible to all. All of the meetings are held in public. Everything is recorded by Shrewsbury Media Connection. It's very easy to watch something that's happening at the local level. I myself have worked to improve how and how often we communicate with residents. Some of the things that have come from that work is the implementation of regular office hours, a mailed newsletter that goes to all households quarterly, a public comment period at the beginning of each select board meeting, but also just being part of the community and being accessible to people. It's very easy for someone to pick up the phone, send a text, call the manager's office and ask to speak to a select board member. Anyone on the select board is always happy to speak with residents. And I believe that that really does show just how transparent local government it is and how accessible it is to residents. I would love to see more people take advantage of the opportunity to participate in public meetings and public hearings. And I also welcome ideas and feedback around what we can do to make it easier for people to get the information that they need, to feel like they really are invested and heard and being served by their local government. We do aim to be transparent. We do aim to be accessible. And my approach has always been to make the time for residents, listen to residents, and incorporate the feedback that I hear when I speak with people into the decisions that I make as a select board member.
Thank you. And Carlos, question to you.
Thank you, and thank you for this question. I think that we've made a lot of progress on communication and transparency in the last few years, and I certainly think that it's something that we could continue to expand upon. I have been proud that ever since I was elected to town meeting in 2017, I've been publicly posting my voting record, and I think that other town meeting members should also have their voting records be public. We'll have electronic voting now, thankfully, and so I look forward to continue advocating for that system to be made available for residents to be able to see where their town meeting representatives stand on the certain issues that they vote upon. I also really think that it's important that we as a board continue to go out there into the community and get feedback and also to share the good work that we do as a town. And so I'm advocating that the board host at least an annual town hall style event off of our regular meeting schedule so that we can go out into the community, have residents come in, we share some of the things we're working on maybe in that upcoming year, fiscal year, and then solicit feedback from them. I think it's really important that we engage in this open dialogue so that residents can feel that they have buy-in and that residents can also learn from what it is that we are working on. I currently serve as the Select Board's designee to the Form of Government Study Committee, and I think that that is also a good opportunity for us to leverage the committee and its work to educate the public about how their local government operates. I think that if you were to go out there into the community and ask what is a Select Board member, they wouldn't really know, and I think that that's a great opportunity for us to educate.
Thank you. All right, we're ready to move on to closing statements. They're 1 minute each. We're gonna go in the reverse order from the way we started. So Anand, that means 1 minute to you first.
So town is facing very critical issues right now. So one of the infrastructure, other one is the school capacity, and third is the overdevelopment, unplanned basically. What is happening because of that? So many roads, like I live on the Stony Hill Road. My family can't take the left turn in the morning. It's so bad. And every day, my wife has to drop my daughter to the school. So those things happen. It's not me. There are so many residents on the you can see the Prospect Street. They also facing the same issue. They can't take the left turn. So those are the critical for residents. They want basic water, sewer, road. Those should be schools. Those are the basic facilities the town is basically right now not providing properly, or they don't have. They are facing it. Then same time other issue the school capacity also, our school system is getting overcrowded because of the unplanned overdevelopment happening. So those issues I want to address. I have skills, I have the knowledge. If you see my background, work at the MIT, I do a data-driven analysis. I have as a business owner, I take day-to-day decision, and I'm requesting everyone to vote for me on May 5th. My website is anandsarma.us, and my phone
you.
number is there. Anyone can reach out to me directly.
Thank you, Anand.
Thank you.
Carlos, 1 minute to you.
Thank you again for this great conversation. I encourage folks who have follow-up questions to reach out to me or to go to garciaforshrewsbury.com to learn more. I attended my very first town meeting as a senior in high school, and I realized then the power that people have when we come together to take collective actions towards our goals. I came to appreciate how local decisions are decided upon by our neighbors, our friends, people you can bump into at the grocery store. Over the course of this campaign, I've been thrilled to share my vision and to meet with residents who all want to see Shrewsbury be the best community that it can be. During my first term, I've been privileged to be in a position to give back to the community that has been my home for my entire life. With all that this community will face in the coming years, Shrewsbury needs a compassionate, experienced, and thoughtful leader at the table. I would be honored to earn your vote on Tuesday, May 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Beth, you're going to wrap it up with 1 minute.
Thank you all for being here today. And for those watching at home, if you would like to learn more about me or you still have questions that haven't been answered, I have a website, cassavantforselectboard.com, with all of my contact information. I've demonstrated my ability to work cooperatively with all of my colleagues, other boards, committees, and community groups to deliver the best possible outcomes for you, the residents of Shrewsbury. I have a proven track record of successful leadership and balanced decision-making, resulting in the achievement of important goals and community-driven initiatives, and I am ready to continue our forward progress. I aim to be accessible to all residents. My approach has always been to gather facts, listen to feedback, build consensus, and that will never change. I bring energy and passion to my work on the board, and I'm confident of the contributions that I can continue to make if given the opportunity. I respectfully ask for one of your 2 votes on Tuesday, May 5th, and together we can work toward achieving our shared vision for Shrewsbury.
Thank you. I want to remind the voters that on Tuesday, May 5th, you will vote for 2 of these 3 candidates. The names are Beth Cassavant, Carlos Garcia, and Anand Sharma. And I want to invite you to all help me thank the candidates for putting themselves forward for this campaign. So we're going to take a short break as we get prepared for the school committee forum. So thank you, candidates. Well, welcome back, everyone. We are here for the second part of the candidates forum with the race for school committee. There are 3 candidates for 2 school committee seats, and the school committee members serve 3-year terms. The candidates for school committee are Rachel Sharifapour, Nicole Torres, and Mike Pacey. So just for those of you who might be joining us later, I'm just going to review some of the rules and the information that the candidates received. This forum should be about an hour long. We aim to finish about 10 after 6 then. Each candidate will make a 3-minute opening statement. They'll answer 2 questions from the league and as many audience questions as we can get to in that time. And then they'll have a 1-minute closing statement. For each question that they are asked, the candidates will have 1 minute and 30 seconds. There will be no rebuttals unless something unusual happens, but don't plan on any rebuttals. Each candidate will answer each question. We don't tailor questions to the candidates. Kathleen, our timer, is seated here, and she'll be holding up signs for the candidates to help them keep time so they know when they should stop. We're on a tight schedule, so when you see the red sign, that means to stop. Obviously, finish your sentence. There's no need to just stop mid-sentence. And if you keep going, I will interrupt you. The first question, just so the audience knows, was provided to the candidates in advance. The second question from the league has not been provided in advance. And then, of course, your questions will follow. If you have any questions that you want to add today, we have some yellow cards out in the hallway out front, and you're welcome to submit them. Although I do have a very impressive pile of questions already. There'll be no personal attacks from the candidates or the audience, and no audience campaigning is allowed. I many of you might be here to support a particular candidate. I'm going to ask you to refrain from clapping after they speak, and we'll give all the candidates a round of applause at the end when they're done. This way we can move through as many questions as possible. Okay, so we are ready to start with our 3-minute opening statements. We are going to go in alphabetical order, and then we'll rotate who goes first and the order, and then the closing statements will be done in reverse alphabetical order. So this means, Mike, you are first with 3 minutes.
Great, thank you. So first off, thanks League of Women for hosting this, and thank you Nicole and Rachel for joining us tonight, and all the members here in the community. I appreciate this opportunity to introduce myself. So my name is Mike Pacey. I've lived in Shrewsbury for about 15 years, and I've had a daughter who I went to the Shrewsbury School District from K to graduation. She graduated in 2025, and now is off to college. I've also had 2 step brothers and sisters who went through the whole school district. That was about 10 years ago. So what I bring for professional experiences is I work in corporate finance, and I have over 30 years managing very complex hospital budgets of about $2.5 billion. We deal with grants, we deal with reserves. I look at about 1,000 to 1,200 cost centers we budget for each year. So my finance experience, I think, could bring a very needed asset to the school committee, especially with the override coming, possible expansion of the high school, and the overall transparency with the budgeting process. I have been looking at the budgeting process, currently the 26, and I do feel that there is some areas that we can be looking at to address. I did find some areas where the school district isn't very financially responsible. So I am concerned about the budget process, and I feel I could bring that experience to help clear that up. The other thing, as far as community work, I worked with Shrewsbury Youth Soccer for about 10 years. I was on the board for 5. I also volunteered at all the schools when my daughter was there, so I have intimate knowledge of how the schools operate and teachers and so forth, and great experience. As far as why I'm running, I just want to make it clear that I'm running to protect every student and make sure that every family and student has a voice in the community. And the real reason why I'm running that triggered me is my own experience here in the school district. So probably 2 years, my daughter's junior, senior in high school, we ran into some issues in the school district. Very troubling issues, and so what had happened is that me and my wife got intimately involved with dealing with the athletic director at Shrewsbury High School, dealing with the principal, and to the point where we also dealt with the superintendent, and we've dealt with all 5 school committee members. And as a parent, when you're dealing with that level of leadership, you expect certain types of professionalism, you expect answers, you expect meetings, contact, and what we experienced is that didn't happen. What we experienced is of no phone calls, no meetings. We kind of were dismissed. We were hoping it would go away. And that experience said, no, this can't happen to any family. So my reason for running is to make sure that my experience, I'm going to learn from this, and we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen in the school district. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rachel, 3 minutes to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting today's candidate forum and to SMC for our broadcast. My name is Rachel Sharifapour, and I'm running for re-election to the Shrewsbury School Committee. My husband, Justin, and I moved to Shrewsbury in 2015, having both grown up nearby in Westboro, because we were looking for a vibrant community with strong public schools to raise our family. Today, we have 3 daughters in the district, one at Oak, ready to jump over to the high school, one at Sherwood, and one at Beale, which gives me a deep personal understanding of our schools at multiple levels. I have served on the school committee since 2023, including the past 2 years as vice chair, and I have been actively involved in our schools for many years as a PTO leader and volunteer. I have also served on multiple hiring committees, and in 2021, helped to secure the successful operational override effort to support both our schools and broader town services. I have also been a town meeting member since last year. Professionally, I work in healthcare administration, where I manage budgets, oversee staff, and work closely with patients and families. That experience has strengthened my ability to make thoughtful, balanced decisions and to approach complex challenges with both data and empathy. During my time on the school committee, I've worked to expand opportunities for students, including strengthening our vocational and career technical pathways and helping establish a new partnership with Leicester Public Schools. I've also been actively involved in policy work that directly impacts our students and school community. And I have contributed to initiatives focused on student wellness and emerging issues like artificial intelligence. I am running for re-election because I feel strongly that Shrewsbury deserves to continue to have great schools which benefit students, families, staff, and town residents. Every single student deserves an equal opportunity to the high-quality education SBS has to offer, and I remain committed to ensuring every student is given the chance to succeed. We must meet the needs of our students and staff while remaining accountable to our taxpayers. I will continue to provide fiscal leadership and collaborate with other municipal leaders to ensure lasting financial stability. Our students cannot thrive unless the staff of our schools are supported to the fullest extent possible. Our collective success is dependent on their ability to educate and have access to the correct tools and professional development and a healthy work-life balance. The strongest and most effective school committee members are those that lead with purpose instead of personal gain or agenda. Students, and not just your own, need to come first. Steady leadership is essential during times of change. One needs to bring consistency, good judgment, and a clear focus on long-term success rather than short-term reaction. We need to have a willingness to work as part of a team, ask the hard questions, and consider the facts and strive to find balanced solutions to often complex challenges. I bring these valuable assets to the table and would be honored to continue to serve my community in this role, and I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nicole, 3 minutes to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Torres, and I'm honored to be here today as a candidate for school committee. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and for their continued commitment to informed civic engagement. I'm running for school committee because I love this town, and we're at a pivotal moment in Shrewsbury's history. Over the next few years, we will navigate a leadership transition for our new superintendent after 17 years of leadership under Dr. Sawyer, a complex multi-year expansion of our high school, and a tightening fiscal environment that will require difficult choices. To meet these challenges, we need leaders that don't just understand the educational vision, but also the mechanical, technical, and financial realities of municipal government. My husband and I chose Shrewsbury 8 years ago because of its reputation for excellence. Today, we are proud parents of 2 children, Lucy and Jax. I told them I would say hi. They both go to the Spring Street School. For me, this campaign is not just about policy. It's about the coming decades for the lives of every student in our district. Professionally, I'm a partner at a real estate law firm. My career is built on navigating complex regulations, managing high-stakes budgets, and bringing disparate parties together to reach a successful closing. I intend to bring that same level of professional tenacity to the school committee. Over the course of the past several months, I have done my homework to stay in tune with the challenges that are facing our district and thoughtfully prepared for what I hope will be my future role as a school committee member. It is no secret that there is overcrowding at the high school. Our high school was built with a promise and a goal of expansion in mind, and it is time to make good on that promise. I will use my legal background to work with the MSBA to bring maximum reimbursement back for our residents, ensuring that we build for future enrollment without placing an undue burden on our taxpayers. Additionally, I've been keeping a keen eye on the current budget process and district's budget recommendations, which have fluctuated due to unexpected costs, even within the last 10 days. As the town's largest expenditure, our school budget must be a model of transparency. As the town's I will advocate for a data-driven approach that prioritizes student mental health and academic excellence while remaining accountable to every resident in Shrewsbury. I will also bring a collaborative, thoughtful voice to the table to work alongside the select board. We need to have cooperative discussions so that we can work together to bring a balanced and thoughtful budget to our residents. I've had firsthand experience in the hiring of our new superintendent as I served on the screening committee at the start of the process, and I am truly excited to give Dr. Ostrander the institutional support and clear policy guidance that she would need to succeed starting July 1st. I'm proud to be supported by all 5 of the current school committee members. They know that I'm ready to step in the role day one to be a steady, analytical, and collaborative voice. I'm asking for your vote on May 5th so that we can work together to define the next chapter of Shrewsbury's excellence.
Thank you. All right, we're ready to start with our first question, which you're all able to prepare in advance. Rachel, you're going to go first. And the question, so the audience knows, is with all of the issues facing our schools, what will be your top 3 areas of focus?
While every aspect of our schools deserves careful attention, if I had to narrow it down to my top 3 priorities right now, they would be student mental health and well-being, the Shrewsbury High School expansion, and strengthening literacy and math supports, especially at our middle levels. Student well-being must remain a core focus of the district, and it is. Shrewsbury Public Schools has 3 large umbrellas for our 5-year strategic plan, one of which is the commitment to enhanced well-being of all. Through our strategic plan, we are working to create safe, inclusive learning environments, strengthening mental health supports, and provide a multi-tiered system of support for students. Initiatives like PBIS and programs that foster belonging are making a meaningful difference, and this work must continue. The potential expansion and renovation to parts of Shrewsbury High School is also a critical priority. With enrollment around 1,900 students, well above its intended capacity, our building is under significant strain on the classrooms, facilities, and programming. It affects how teachers teach and how students learn. While we've made a multitude of short-term adjustments, a long-term solution is necessary. We are well past solving this problem with scheduling adjustments. I am committed to helping educate and engage the community so we can make a well-informed decision about this critical investment. Finally, strengthening literacy and math support, especially at the middle level, is essential. While our new literacy approach is showing strong early results, we need to ensure that students, particularly those impacted by pandemic-related disruptions, receive the support they need during this critical period. These are complex challenges, but with thoughtful planning and a continued focus on students, I'm confident we can meet them. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, a minute and a half to you.
As a new member of the school committee, my top 3 areas of focus will be as follows. First, the high school expansion project. We are at a critical juncture with the MSBA. My background as an attorney allows me to look at this not just as a parent, but as a professional who understands complex contracts and partnerships. I will focus on maximizing our state reimbursement to ensure we address overcrowding without overtaxing. I will also ensure there is clarity with the residents throughout the process to keep them informed and educated. Second, I will focus on fiscal transparency and responsibility. The school budget is the town's largest investment. I will advocate for a continued data-driven approach to every dollar we spend. We need to balance our necessary investments in mental health and special education with the long-term sustainability of the town's general fund. I want every taxpayer to see how exactly their investment is benefiting our students. Despite the fact that our schools perform in the top 15% in the state, we spend in the bottom 15%. That feat is impressive on many levels, and it is that type of fiscal management our residents have come to expect. My third priority would be supporting a successful transition for our new superintendent, who will start in July. The committee needs to provide steady, clear, and collaborative policy guidance for Dr. Ostrander. As a mother of 2 children currently in our elementary schools, I am personally invested in making sure that this transition is seamless so that our educators can stay focused on what they do best, educating. I will make sure that Dr. Ostrander feels supported in her role by outlining the clearest of expectations of policies in our district.
Thank you. And Mike, a minute and a half to you.
Yes, thank you. So the 3 areas of concern I have are student safety and transparency around it, financials, and family partnerships. So let's talk about student safety and transparency. So the current school committee and superintendent have allowed the bullying policy to be not updated for 6 years. They were forced to update it due to some violations. They've also failed to have a state-mandated teen dating policy, which was out of compliance for 14 years. So when a school district doesn't make student safety a priority and don't make policy updating a priority, that's an issue, and that needs to be a priority, and that can be done by making sure that every student safety policy that the school district has is updated to meet state requirements. And second is transparency around student safety issues. So the school district was assessed with 2 violations for failing to follow the anti-bullying policy in 2024. They actually broke the law in Massachusetts. And the school committee and superintendent were not transparent with the community to let them know that there were safety risks at the high school. Instead, they just talked about updating policies, procedures, and doing more training. But they never, ever told the community, you need to understand that in 2024, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education came back and said, you violated the Massachusetts anti-bullying law. So that is a problem when there's no transparency with families. And the last is financials. Is like Nicole said, I'm concerned about the expansion in the budget and what it's going to cost taxpayers. And I think we need to do a deep dive on the budget to make sure that we are properly staffed, especially at the administrative level, because right now we have over 26 people at the administrative level, which is about $5.2 million in salary. And we need to look at that to make sure that's appropriate for our district.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to get to the first question you don't know. And this is also from the League. Nicole, you're going to go first. What do you see as the role of technology in education with the emergence of AI and the concerns about screen time?
I think that's the question all of us are trying to answer. In a professional setting, I see it as an attorney. I see it with my children in schools. Being new to town when I moved here and my daughter started in kindergarten and came home with an iPad, I was not very happy, to say the least. As much as I don't want our children to just be staring at screens, and this is what I came to terms with as a parent, it is very imperative that our students stay up to date with technology. They have to learn how to use AI or varying technologies as tools, not as something that they fully rely on. I think we've all seen the emails or something that's written clearly by an AI tool. We can tell the difference. We can tell when something is human. We can tell when something is not. So really instilling in our students the importance, they still need to think for themselves. The things that they're writing, the things that they're asking, the things that they're saying, it needs to come from them and who they are. At the same time, again, it has to be used as a tool that can help to better them. There's going to be no industry that's not touched by technology or artificial intelligence, my own included. Instead of trying to fight it or just ignore it, we have to make sure that our students are staying at the forefront of the technology so they can use it to their advantage, so that they can go into college, already have that in their back pocket. So when they're looking for a job, their employer knows that they already have experience with AI and how to use it to their advantage in their role. It's going to help them not only become more successful, but really to become more well-rounded, so there'll be less things that they're not able to face.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you?
You say the question again.
Sure. What do you see as the role of technology in education with the emergence of AI and the concerns about screen time?
So I'm going to first answer the first one is regarding the iPad, though. So as a parent, obviously my daughter, I believe she got her iPad when she was at Oak. And as a parent, I'm actually against the use of the iPad because I see my daughter today in college. She is glued to that iPad, meaning she now has a laptop that she should be using in college, but she's still using her iPad because she's so reliant on it because all she used was her iPad all through school. So is it something that is they're going to continue to have in the schools? Yes, but I would like to see less use of the iPads and have the kids go back to using their pen and writing things out because even like my daughter, her handwriting is just not where it should be at her age because she's not using a pen and paper. But I understand that's part of the kids getting educated with technology. As far as the AI goes, so AI we're using it now at where I work now, and what I see people doing is they're using AI to make their life easier. And that's my fear with kids, because I see my daughter too, she's using AI to help self-correct some of her papers and to make her presentation sound better. And when I look at her work prior to using AI, I can tell that an 18 and 19-year-old kid wrote something. When she goes through AI, all of a sudden it looks like an adult wrote it. So we need to find out to make sure that especially in high school, but I think it's going to actually go to the middle school level, that we got to control the use of AI and make sure that the teachers are able to say, this looks like this was generated by AI, not the students. So I think it needs to be a governance on it, and we need to make sure we're watching it because it's going to make these kids seem a lot smarter than they really are, and it's going to be a problem when they get into college.
Thank you. And Rachel, a minute and a half to you.
I believe there's real value in having both iPads and traditional materials like textbooks in our classrooms. It's not an either or. iPads can be powerful tools to enhance learning. They give students access to resources and experience they wouldn't otherwise be possible. Like I know my kids have had opportunities where they're learning about frogs as in their literacy project, and they were able to Zoom with a zoologist to supplement their material. I think there's benefit to having an iPad, but there is also so much power in using pen and paper and turning to your partner and saying, let's work this out. Being able to make a mistake and erase it and start again, I think that's important, and an iPad shouldn't take the place of that. In terms of AI, actually last year, the district put together a AI study committee, and the committee had 25 people on it. It was comprised of students, SPS staff, parents in the district that had relevant experience. I was on the AI committee, and it was talking about how do we incorporate AI in the right way? How do we use it as a tool for students, not as a way for, I think a lot of people look at AI as like, how do we cheat? But how does AI support learning? How does AI support teachers? I think, getting away from AI detection tools is important because they're not always reliable. But I think it's, the part of the study committee was, how do we do this in a healthy way?
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to our next question. Mike, you're going to go first.
Okay.
Please describe how you anticipate working with the new superintendent of schools, Tiffany Ostrander.
Great, thank you. So I'm actually very excited about Tiffany getting the job. I went to all the meet and greets with the superintendents, and she by far was the most experienced and professional, and definitely had my vote. She was actually a assistant principal when my daughter was at Floral School. When I volunteered many times, I talked with her. I actually had lunch with her and the principal many times, and she's an outstanding, energetic individual, and I think she's going to take the bull by the horns. How I can support her, one is obviously respecting her, is supporting her with any questions she has, but I think financially I can support her because, as you all know, the budget is a very contentious process here in the town, and I definitely can bring my experience and I can support her with that. But more importantly, I want to be a sounding board for her. I want to share with her my experiences so that she can help prevent it from happening to other kids or other students. I want to share with her, what other parents have told me on this journey. I think she needs, what's nice with her is she's coming in with a fresh set of eyes to look at the district, and she's going to have a different level of accountability. The internal personal relationships aren't going to be there, so she'll have a new look, and I'm fully on board with supporting her 100%, and I'm excited that she's our new superintendent.
Thank you. And Nicole, a minute and a half to you.
Thank you. So I had the pleasure of serving on the screening committee, and she was our very first interview on our very first day, and from the moment she walked in, the level of energy that Dr. Ostrander had was just really incredible to see. And I'm very excited to see what she's going to be able to do in her role. I plan to, if I am elected, give her the grace that she will need to learn. We all know what it feels like when you are stepping into somebody else's shoes, especially after a long tenure. It can be very intimidating. It can be very challenging. She does have experience in the district, of course, but she is stepping into a new role. So, first and foremost, giving her the grace that she needs to learn and to grow. There is going to be an obvious learning curve there, and allowing her the ability to try new things. Try, fail, succeed, try again, fail again, succeed again. That's very important. Also, the job of a school committee member is to oversee the superintendent, so we do have to keep clear priorities for her and let her know clearly, this is the job, this is your role. We have to set clear definitions of what we expect out of her. My role in my job when hiring someone is I never set someone up to fail. I set people up to succeed. I define clear expectations so that nobody is surprised. So having those clear, concise guidelines for her to follow from the beginning, while again also giving her the grace to succeed, is going to be immensely important for her in her new role.
Thank you. And Rachel, a minute and a half.
I'm extremely excited to welcome Tiffany Ostrander as our next superintendent. We have been extraordinarily lucky to have Dr. Sawyer as our leader over the last 17 years, and we knew as a committee that this was going to be a tough position no matter who filled it to fill. However, in my estimation, the newly anointed Dr. Ostrander, she has demonstrated all the skills, all the professionalism, and all the new ideas to make her a successful leader. I've been impressed with Dr. Ostrander from times that she's come to the school committee to present to us. We meet with the schools for an all-school meeting, and they bring ideas about each of their schools and what's going on in them and how can they improve. And she's always just had such impressive ideas and really advocates for her students and families. In terms of the school committee superintendent relationship and how I'm going to support her, I think it comes down to trust, clarity, and disciplined roles. The school committee governs and the superintendent manages, and we need to be able to respect each other in the parts that we play. Communication needs to be open and honest. Expectations need to be set, and she needs to, and she has the support of the current school committee and the administration right now because this process has already started to onboard her. She needs a strong onboarding with a clear plan and the full support of the committee and the patience as she learns and develops into the leader she will be.
Thank you. All right, our next question, Rachel, you'll be first.
Okay.
School budgeting is very complex and different from your typical business budgeting process. How do you believe Shrewsbury Public Schools manages a $90 million plus budget to provide educational services?
We do it well. Last year in 2024, we partnered with a independent third-party district management group, DMG, which is what we refer to when we're speaking about it, to take a look at our historic budget, the appropriated budget the town meeting approves. And the end result was that we're fiscally very knowledgeable and prudent, and we spend wisely. We are always consistently top 15% in terms of results, while spending at the bottom 15%. If you look at that, if you were to look at other towns and where we're spending, we would have to spend something like $25 million to be at where the other state average is. And we are able to do things with a smaller, I don't want to say a small budget because we have a big budget, but we're able to stretch the dollar without sacrificing outcomes for students. I think that when we're talking about the budget, as a committee, we work together. We sit down, we go through what is our priorities. We take the strategic plan, and that is like our guiding principle in terms of where do we want to go, what are the priorities, how are we going to get there. And I think also being able to have open and honest conversations with other town leaders, the select board, the finance committee, our town manager, as well as our superintendent is absolutely important, because it is a huge budget that the whole town is responsible for, and we need to be able to show everybody that we're on the same page and we're in this together. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Yes, so, to echo Rachel's point, I mean, the budgeting process here, what the school committee does and the superintendent, it is a lot of work. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. But the part that I struggle with is as a resident, I've done some deep dives in the budget process, and I've looked at some things, and I'm having a hard time myself tying out numbers. So that part is the school district needs to do a better job of being more transparent with the budget and being more open with the community on where things are. But to echo what was at the last meeting that we had is with the select board is, what needs to be looked at more is our overhead. The school district has a lot of overhead, and we never hear the school committee or the superintendent talk about overhead. We always talk about teachers and programs that they got to cut. In the last school committee meeting, they need to get to the 4.25%. They got to cut 3 FTEs. They want to cut an adjustment counselor. They want to cut an English language educator, teacher, and they want to cut a psychologist. That's 3 FTEs, about $250,000. But what they don't tell you is we have an assistant superintendent that's retiring, and between her salary and benefits, that's about $250,000. So if you don't replace that, you don't have to give her these 3 FTEs. And these 3 FTEs will impact the student. The assistant superintendent ain't going to impact the student. So that's a part with the budget that I think we need to be more transparent about and say, you know what, if we need to make cuts to get what we need to get to, we don't want to compromise education with the students. We got to start looking at our overhead. As I said, we've got 26 people in administration. It's $5.2 million. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of overhead compared to what's in Westboro and what's in Algonquin. So that's something that I think that we need to look at on the budget process.
Thank you. And Nicole, a minute and a half to you.
Thank you. So as a part of campaigning and being out and really doing my homework, as I've said, I've met not only with Dr. Sawyer, but also with Mr. Girardi, because I wanted to understand this big fat budget that we see, because a lot of us just look at the bottom line number, and for me, it's a very big number. I also look at budgets quite frequently for work, not only in my own company that I own, but when I'm helping a client decide whether they want to buy a certain property. And I have to say that looking at a school budget, at first, it's like a foreign language to me. I wanted to be able to wrap my mind around it. And I will say these conversations that I had were hugely insightful, hugely insightful. The variables that go into our budget, as we've seen just within the last 10 days, you can have a $500,000 swing if a student moves into the district. I think looking back historically, the school district has done a terrific job of maintaining service and even being able to provide more services with what they are given. Citing the D&G report that was mentioned earlier, and I believe I said in my opening statement, we spend in the bottom 15% while scoring in the top 15%. That's very impressive. For me, what was even more so impressive, because to look at Shrewsbury in a vacuum, it's great to say we have a great school district, we all know that. But how do we do comparatively? How are we in comparison with other districts? And that's really where I feel as though we do shine as a district, when we look at our budget in comparison to other budgets that are in surrounding towns of equal size. It's very impressive what we've been able to do.
Thank you. Mike, our next question is to you first. In light of social media posts, what strengths or weaknesses do you see in your school district's approach to preventing and addressing bullying?
Say that last part again?
I'll repeat the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
thing.
read it again, yeah.
In light of social media posts,
Yep.
what strengths or weaknesses do you see in your school district's approach to preventing and addressing bullying?
So that's a double-headed question. So my response is good and really bad. Good meaning from, just say, 2nd grade to 8th grade at those schools here at the Shrewsbury School District, the principals, the administration, the teachers do an outstanding job when it comes to bullying. They're on it, they're target, they understand it. When you get to the high school, it's an F. The grade is an F. When I say that is you have a principal who doesn't take bullying allegations seriously, you have an athletic department that doesn't take bullying. So I've experienced it firsthand, and this superintendent is aware of the faults at that high school with leadership when it comes to taking bullying allegations seriously. It's not a joke. It's treated as a joke. And it's something that has to be addressed and looked at. And the school committee needs to hold the superintendent accountable for addressing the issues at that high school. Because it's a reoccurring. On my journey, I've had 3 kids from the high school come up to me who don't even know me. Said, Mike, there's bullying going on at the high school that's unchecked. What do we do? I said, you tell your parents to call me, and I've talked to them. So I'm saying is we act like there's no problems, but there is problems, and I'd like to see the school committee superintendent be transparent and say, listen, everybody, we have problems at the high school. We're going to address it. And you address it by dealing with the people who are allowing it to happen. And when the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education comes by and says, your high school, twice in 2024, failed to follow the anti-bullying policy law and broke the law twice, everybody, twice, those employees are still there. That risk is still real. So it needs to be addressed, and it's a personnel problem, and that's something the superintendent, Tiffany, needs to address going forward.
Thank you. And Nicole, a minute and a half to you.
So I really try very hard to not just look at social media to stay informed. Having said that, I have, of course, seen, like many of us, certain information that has been out that is quite concerning. When I found out that there were, the DESE violations, I really looked into, well, what are these violations? What was actually found? What was actually found from my reading was very administrative. Clearly, there was a process that was not followed as quickly as it should have been. And it sounds as though from the school committee members that I've talked to, clearly the process should have been followed much faster. However, again, the citations from DESE, and if I actually read it correctly, the school did an exemplary job in their investigation. I think it's very important when there are bullying investigations that they're done thoroughly. It cannot be something that's acted upon with haste, not only for the protection of the student that's being bullied, the family that's having to be impacted, but the person who's also the one being accused of bullying. We can't live in a world where we're just making very quick, rash decisions when there are bullying allegations. Both sides have to be heard. Both sides have to be listened to. All things have to be considered. And that takes quite a lot of time. I do commend parents that speak up and students that speak up and certainly feel empowered to do that if they're put into situations that they feel like they're being bullied. That is not a situation that our students should ever be put in, and certainly not one that the district supports.
Thank you. And Rachel, a minute and a half to you.
We live in a world where social media is a blessing and a curse. It's amazing how fast information can get out there into such a wide audience. But we need to have an honest outlook in the sense that because it is so easy to put information out into the world, not all of it is vetted, and it is often one-sided. And because we are always looking for a quick answer, it's easy to accept what someone is saying is the absolute truth without doing your homework. I've personally seen some things in social media over the last few days that are chock full of half-truths or blatant misinformation. For example, the school district was accused of being on some super secret red flag list as likely to reoffend again because we had 2 complaints. That's not true. A simple call to DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, is all it took to figure that out. In fact, we have documentation that the district went above and beyond what was ordered by the department. We have a bullying report that comes out in the fall that reports on the previous school year. We do not deny that bullying and bad behavior exist. It does, and it's addressed. A lot of work has gone into correcting this bad behavior. We spend a lot of time on PBIS, that's Positive Behavioral Intervention Systems. We're working hard at that at the elementary level to build students into leaders in their communities so that as they travel up from elementary to middle school and to high school, hopefully we're nipping that in the bud, that this is not as much as an issue. And as an administration, we are holding our administrators accountable.
Okay. All right, so we have another question, again, sort of related to social media. So Nicole, you're going to go first on this one. So there has been some media that is very disparaging to the superintendent and the school committee. Do you agree with this position? And if not, why not? If yes, why?
So again, I don't live my life off of social media. I live off of facts. I live off of experiences. I think it's very important that a loud minority of people don't remain the only voice for our community. I have had firsthand experience with my 2 children in the district, with Dr. Sawyer, not Dr. Ostrander yet, with Dr. Sawyer at the helm. He's been a very visible leader. He's been very open to conversation. I'm involved in varying committees and towns. He always makes the time. He always makes the time. The school committee members, prior to running, they've always been very receptive to conversation, very, very welcoming, very open. That's how I not pass judgment, but that's how I perceive things in real life. I think it's very important that, again, we cannot just listen to loud voices and assume that that is the feeling of an entire community. That is how a lot of things really get lost. And we need to speak to the people that are not the loud ones on social media. We need to make sure we're accounting for every parent, every student's experience, not just those that are speaking out on social media. Because I think we all know that generally the loudest voices can be the ones that have an axe to grind or ones that are angry about something. Sometimes it's, rightfully so, of course. But we need to make sure that we're listening to all voices. And again, we need to listen and make sure that we're staying informed on facts and we're not just basing all of our opinions about our leadership off of what we're seeing on social media.
Thank you. And Rachel, a minute and a half to you.
Could you just repeat the question again?
So I've paraphrased this a little. So there has been some media that has been very disparaging to the superintendent and the school committee. Do you agree with this position? And if not, why not? If yes, why?
I appreciate all kinds of feedback, whether it's good or bad. In terms of, what is out there disparaging the superintendent and the school committee, I tend not to pay attention to what's on social media. It doesn't bother me. What does bother me is that when we ask for feedback as a district, as a school committee, and the way that we ask for feedback is used as a tool to get back at the district or the superintendent for a decision that was made. For example, we last year, and the school committee addressed this during the superintendent's evaluation, we had put out a survey to both students and staff, or families and staff, on how they thought the superintendent was doing on his leadership and his communication. Generally, in years past, the superintendent has had very positive feedback, and we get, 150 responses in total. Last year, we had 975 responses, the majority of which was very negative. Of the 975 responses, only 361 chose to leave a response, which meant the majority just clicked 4 buttons to purposely drag the superintendent. And some of the comments were very personal, very directed, and that information is not useful to me, and it's not helpful, and that makes our job a lot harder. So I look for positive feedback from our community.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Yep. So apparently that question's kind of geared towards me, so somebody's obviously, because I am the one out putting that social media stuff out. And the reason why I'm doing is,
No, your name is not.
oh, no, it's not, I know,
So-
but trust me, I know it is. So what the issue that I have is when there's a lack of transparency and honesty, when the school committee and the superintendent are sharing stuff to the public, they only want to share with you what you want to hear. And when I mentioned to you before about the DESI violations, nobody knew that the school broke the law about those 2 DESI violations until I put it on social media. And that should not take me as a community member to alert the community that there's a problem at Shrewsbury High School with their district, with the principal and athletic director not taking bullying allegations seriously. That's the job of the school committee and the superintendent. So whatever I post on social media, there will always be a public record that the school district provided to me proving that student safety, transparency, and accountability is not happening. And I will continue to post stuff on social media to back up the fact, because the reason why I'm running is because people like me don't have a voice. I tried to go to the school committee for help. I tried to go to the superintendent for help. I tried to go to principal. And guess what I got? Okay, Mike, it'll be all right. Let's just do this, do that. And they never picked up the phone and said, Mike, listen, let's sit down with your family and find out how we can fix this. Or what did you learn? They did none of that. So the only way to get the message out there is to get it out to the community, because the people sitting on this desk at the school committee meeting aren't telling you the truth. They're hiding the facts, and that's a problem. Every parent should know that if your kid's at Shrewsbury High School, there's a risk of them being bullied, period. And nobody was held accountable. So you understand, not one employee at that high school was held accountable, not one. That's
Okay.
it, sorry.
Thank you. We're going to switch gears a little.
Yep.
Okay, Rachel, you're going to go first on this one. Do you support eliminating all school-related fees, such as busing and athletics?
That's a good question. I do. Not all at once, I don't think. Before I came onto the committee, the school committee had already started this process of trying to reduce fees by eliminating the activities fee up at the high school. And I think a lot of that is, there's 2 reasons. One, when you look at the fees that district parents are paying for busing, for sports, for at that time activities, it's a lot of extra money. And it's a burden on top of everything else that we're paying for as part of living in the town. So by eliminating the activities fee, that gave access to more students to activities that they didn't have to worry about, can I pay the fee or can I not? And it gets them involved. It's good for mental health. It's a good overall experience. And I think the same holds true for sports. Obviously, our sports can only hold certain numbers on their rosters, but I don't want a student who maybe they're not a great student, but they're a fantastic athlete. Maybe that gives them purpose. I don't want them to not be able to play the sport because they can't afford to pay, or they have to make a decision of doing one thing or the other. But if we want to reduce that, and we did start the work last year as we did reduce the fee for athletics at both, or the fee for busing and the fee for the high school athletics. This is a priority to us, but we do have to think that if we are reducing the fee, we still have to pay for these in some way. So do you incorporate it into the general budget, or how does that get paid for?
Thank you. And Nicole, the question to you.
Sure. So I understand after the DMG report came out, fees started being reduced. My children aren't at the age yet where I've seen fees, but I have talked to residents, and it can be certainly a barrier to entry. I also echo, I would never want a student to not be able to play a sport or take part in a certain activity because of the cost of a fee. Students should be able to have all resources available to them, and certainly those that are lower income that might not otherwise be able to afford it. It has to be a balance, certainly. We just talked about a tightening fiscal budget season, and we're trying to make ends meet. So if fees are entirely taken away, that money has to come from somewhere. And there is already a gap with what the superintendent is looking for versus, what the appropriated budget is at this point, or the recommendation is at this point. So it has to be a balance. It has to be a consideration. Again, lessening that barrier to entry for students is very important, but the money does have to come from somewhere. Learning as well, as much as I want to see fees reduced, having some level of fees and knowing that those fees have to be used, that money has to be used for a particular purpose, that also makes those fees meaningful to me. So if a fee is being taken for football, it has to go to that athletics, right? It can't just go to be used for something else. So if we have a way, we find a way to be able to lower fees while still being able to use that money and not have to lean on the town's appropriated budget would be, I think, the way to go.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Yeah, so I'm 100% against having any fees. When I grew up in my town, my parents, we didn't come from a very wealthy area, so my parents, we paid no fees to play sports, to ride the bus. That should all be part of what we're paying in our taxes. For that $90 million budget, that should be included. On my little journey here going for school committee, with people paying for band fees, they're paying for the people that do crew, the amount of fees they pay. So we're asking our taxpayers to pay for a $90 million budget, but then on top of that, all this money out of pocket to pay for stuff. And the $90 million budget should take care of your schooling. It should get you to school. It should pay for your athletic fees or your band fees or whatever you want. Anything outside of that, yeah, maybe you pay for it. Maybe you do some PTO stuff. But to ask taxpayers now to pay a lot of stuff out of pocket, to me, it doesn't make sense. And I just never understood why we have so many fees all the time. It doesn't make sense to me. Like my neighbor, her 2 kids are in band, and she said, "Oh, I just sent $200 in band fees." I'm like, for what? So it just, to me, that's something as a school committee we need to look at and say, we got to stop asking people to take money out of their pocket, because it's one thing to pay it through your taxes, but when you're asked to pay $200-300 out of your pocket, that's a big ask. And we forget that in Shrewsbury we have all levels of people in Shrewsbury, and you can't ask people who are living week to week, and if the kid wants to play football, it's not right. And I'm strongly against it. Any fees.
Okay, thank you. All right. Our next question, Nicole, you'll be first. What is your philosophy for working and communicating with the select board? Do you agree or disagree with the lack of the school committee and select board? Do you agree or disagree with the school committee and select board not meeting regularly this year?
I do. My understanding, when John Samia was on school committee or on select board, they had what are called 5-5 meetings. So this is when the entire school committee and the entire select board meets. I would absolutely advocate for this to happen, not once a year, not during budget season, but at least quarterly. You have to have open, honest, but at the very base, respectful conversation if we're going to be making these massive decisions. So those need to come back, those meetings. I believe that being upfront, open, honest, and again, being able to communicate in a way that is respectful, that is how we are going to get things done. Our town has operated in that way for a very long time, and our leaders need to be the ones that people are looking to for clear, open, and honest communication. I don't think that not having that is going to lead anyone to want to do the high school expansion project. Mm-hmm. It's not going to lead anyone to pass the override that's going to be needed. We're going to disagree with select board, and they're going to look into things as they should. And that's actually welcomed and wanted. It's a checks and balances system. But we have to be able to work together in a respectful way to be able to communicate to our taxpayers what we're going to do as a town. With a high school expansion project and an override in the imminent future, we have to be having these tough conversations early and often.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, because I don't want to put the onus on the school committee, because it's not. I think the school committee, the select board, and the finance committee, all three of them know that the $90+ million school budget is the largest budget. So I don't feel it's the school committee's responsibility that they have to reach out and say, select board, we need to meet, or finance committee. I think the three of them need to work together and find a way that, look, this is the biggest budget. So we need to meet maybe every other month, just make sure we're all on the same page. And so I think that's more of a, how do I want to say, not a cultural problem, but a kind of like the select board sits here, the finance here, and the school committee. It's kind of like a ranking order, and I think that's wrong. I think all three should have a fair say. And if the school committee wants to meet every month with the select board, that should be granted to that, because it's to the school committee's credit, they shouldn't have to wait a month before they announce the budget and they find out that they're only going to get a certain percent. I mean, there needs to be more collaboration between those three groups, and it's just I'm all for meeting more often than not and getting on the same page, because it's too important of a budget to act like it's a small budget, and you can't make changes on the fly like they want. So I agree, there needs to be more collaboration with all three boards.
Thank you. And Rachel, the question to you.
We may not agree on everything,
Yeah,
Mike,
no,
but I
yeah, thank you.
absolutely agree with you on this one. The school committee and the select board, they are two committees in town that have a lot of insight into what is happening in the town. The select board has, they're in charge of the entire town and what is going on and what are the priorities, and they're talking to different groups. And the school committee, obviously, our charge is the schools, which is a huge part of the town budget. And to not have communication is just not helpful to either side. In this past year in particular, the school committee and the select board just did not meet. And that wasn't without trying to meet, but Nicole mentioned that, there are 5 meetings where the select board and the school committee will meet and have conversations and, what's going on with you and what's going on with you so that we can make these right decisions. But even more than that, we would even before do 2-2s where there were 2 school committee and 2 select board along with the town manager and the superintendent to meet. And we've had one-on-one meetings before, and those have continued, but we need to be able to work together, communicate. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. And also, bringing in the finance committee too. We shouldn't be making decisions in February, March, April, when town meeting is in May, because you just don't have the information. You don't have the background, and it's really hard to catch you up to everything that's going on if you haven't been meeting. So I'm a huge advocate for being able to meet, and I hope, and I know that the boards will reset for next year.
Okay, thank you. We are on our last question before closing statements. And Mike, you'll go first on this one. So per DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, Massachusetts schools are encouraged to honor students' pronoun of choice. DESE also advises schools to protect and respect students' choices on this matter. Do you agree with this policy?
Actually, yes, I do. I agree 100% because, and I'm going to bring it to my work experience. So I do work at a hospital, and obviously we have very different cultures at the hospital, and we have many employees that choose their own pronouns, and in their emails they have their own pronouns, and that's a choice. And but what's very important is we can't make sure that we pressure everybody to do it. It's got to be a choice. Like for me, for instance, on my email, my response, I don't use my pronouns. I just cite as Mike Pacey, but people that work for me, they like to use their pronouns, and that's their choice, and that's fine. But I don't want to make it a standard that everybody has to follow. It needs to be a personal choice that's what you want to do, but I do accept it because everybody needs to be accepted, and everybody needs to be part of what they feel is important, and I'm 100% for it. Just don't make it mandatory for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Rachel?
The Shrewsbury Public Schools does not discriminate on the basis of our protected categories, including gender identity. At its core, it's about ensuring that students have a safe and supportive environment in which they can learn and they can grow. That responsibility is shared by our administration, our staff, and our students. A student's name and preferred pronouns are among the first things that we address in creating a supportive environment. The appropriate approach is to engage directly with the student, and for the younger students with their parents or their guardians, and to determine how the student would like to be addressed, and to develop a thoughtful plan for how that will be implemented in the school. And that plan can also include how and when that information is communicated more broadly to students, to other staff. I think it's also important to recognize that students may choose when and how to share information about their identity. Under Massachusetts law, students who are 14 or older or who have entered the 9th grade may consent to disclosure of information about their student record. And for younger students, parents or a guardian retain that kind of authority. At the end of the day, it's our responsibility to follow the law, respect students and their families, and ensure that every student feels safe, supported, and able to fully participate in their education no matter what their pronouns are.
Thank you. And Nicole, the question to you.
I certainly agree with this policy. I think at the core of every human being, not just students, we want to feel like we belong. I know when someone spells Nicole with an H, I get furious because that is not my name. So certainly to be, misidentified, especially intentionally, if you're telling someone proactively, this is how I choose to be identified, this is who I am, and that's being ignored, I don't know how someone might be able to function and receive an education and be open to an education if they don't feel seen in that way. So I think that's massively important. Our students in school should feel comfortable. They should be themselves, and we should not only embrace that, we should encourage that. I also would like to echo the point that these are really conversations we should also be encouraging students and families to have together. These are things that should be discussed at home, and finding ways for the district to encourage students to speak to their parents. We all know my kids might not be old enough yet, but kids hide things from us as they start to get a little bit older. Encouraging them to have open and honest conversations with their families. That will also build their confidence to have those open and honest conversations as they start to get older, whether that's in high school, college, or in their workplace. Them coming into their own and really saying to the world, this is me and this is who I am. This is how I prefer to be called. I think that's massively important, and I'm glad that the district supports that.
Okay, thank you. We are done. You can take a deep breath. We're ready to go to closing statements. These are a minute each, so they're not nearly as long. And we're going to go in reverse order from the way we started. So Nicole, you are first.
Thank you.
One
I have
minute.
one child asleep, so I figured we're done. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and SMC for recording it. As we conclude tonight, the choice for school committee member comes down to who has the right experience and disposition to navigate the complex road ahead. Amongst the current budget process, high school expansion project, and the upcoming leadership transition, the stakes for our students and our taxpayers have never been higher. I offer a unique combination of skills, the analytical lens of an attorney and business owner who knows how to navigate complex situations and people management, with the daily perspective of a mother of 2 children who are in our classrooms today. I am ready to work with our town leaders to ensure fiscal transparency while protecting the educational excellence that defines Shrewsbury. I am honored to have the unanimous support of all of the current school committee members, and I hope that I have earned your support as well when you vote on Tuesday, May 5th. We can work together to define the next chapter of Shrewsbury's success. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rachel, a minute to you.
I would again like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting the candidates here tonight. Candidate forums are valuable tools to help learn more about the people who you are voting for. Local elections often come down to a small number of votes. That means your voice truly carries weight. Taking a few minutes to vote is one of the easiest and most meaningful ways to have a say. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sawyer for his professionalism and leadership over the last 17 years. You've led with integrity and dedication. Serving on the school committee is a great honor, and it's hard work. I do not serve in this role because I want to dismantle the system. While we have room for opportunity, as does any other school district, our strengths greatly outweigh our areas of improvement. I'm focused on the 6,000 students and the 900 staff that show up every day and need our support. I am fully committed to making sure we are delivering high-quality education and doing it well without making this about me. This is about our students and our staff. I sincerely hope that I've demonstrated my strengths and knowledge as a leader, and you, the voters, to trust me to continue the work I've been doing, and I respectfully ask for one of your 2 votes on May 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mike, 1 minute to you.
Thank you. So, thank you for having this conference tonight, this meeting, and again, thank you, Rachel and Nicole. So I just want to be front. I'm not your typical candidate. So I'm not going to sit here and make, say the buzzwords that everybody wants to hear and make crazy promises. But what I am going to tell you is I'm running for school committee based on my own experiences in the district. And my experiences as a parent and speak with many other parents is experiences that should have never happened to any student in the district. And when I say happen is the level of support that was provided by the superintendent, the school committee, and administration was disgusting. So what I will promise every person that if I get on this board, every parent, you will have a voice, you will not be dismissed, I will be a partner, just like the select board said, you have the ability to call me, to email me, I will get involved in every situation, I will speak with the superintendent, I will make sure that your child will never be dismissed in the schools district. I witnessed it, I want to make sure it never happens to another kid in this district. And I know I've been talking about social media, but I strongly recommend that people go to my website, Mike Pacey for School Committee 2026 on Instagram and Facebook. You will see public records provided by the Shrewsbury School District that demonstrate that student safety, accountability, and transparency are not here. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleen is going to come up in a minute. I just want to remind voters on May 5th that they will vote for 2 of these 3 candidates, Rachel Sharifapour, Nicole Torres, and Mike Pacey.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. And here is Colleen.
Thanks, guys.
This was a wonderful forum, I think. Thank you to our moderator, Sue, and to all the candidates and the audience for your attendance and questions, and to Shrewsbury Media Connection, of course. In addition to these two races, you will be voting for trustees of the public library, which is an uncontested race, and 1/3 of the town meeting members who are up for reelection. The League of Women Voter members organizing this forum are Kathleen Colhane, Karen Nelson, and I'm Colleen Corbett. We also had an assistant from Ivy Sullivan. And election day is Tuesday, May 5th, and the polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Check with the town clerk's office for vote by mail and absentee ballot options. A few years back, the League's motto was "Democracy is not a spectator sport," and that is more true today than ever. So go vote. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.